All right, all right, all right. Hey, what's going on out there, gentlemen? How's everyone doing? This is something new. I am glad you're here with me. This is the first day of it, hopefully of many more days. And by the way, if you do not know, my name is Brian, aka Uncle B, and for the last 23 years, I've been a men's performance coach with African Fly, now known as Goodwood. And we have now Goodwood University, where basically we're trying to do everything, give you all the information, coaching, tips, everything you need to get to a situation where you don't have a situation down there. Everything works. That's our goal. Right now, we even have an Erections on Demand challenge. And the whole goal of this is, this here, right here, what we're doing right here, is so that, you're able to if you have any questions in terms of your sexual health, you having issues with erections, you're having issues with women, period. We want to be able to answer those questions. And this is really exciting for me because, I really want to cut through the clutter and just be able to talk to you. So if you have questions or anything like that, go ahead and put that in the comment section. And also tell me where you are, where you're representing from. So, what I wanted to talk about was a call I had the other day with a new client, and we were talking about his particular situation. This gentleman is 29 years old, and he basically, living life. Everything was working well, and he's trying out a new relationship, and he has an issue. His issue is his erections is not where it needs to be. Things not working for him, and so we went through the entire process that I normally go through with guys. As soon as I take them on, it's like, hey, we have a quiz that you fill out, and with that quiz, I'm able to quickly identify how I can help, and so going through the entire process is all about figuring out what your patterns are. So here's some of the questions that are on that quiz. So we're rolling it down. So I ask how old he is. He's in his 20s. So what is his goals? Improve erection strength, last longer during sex, stop premature ejaculation, increase penis size, boost sexual desire, everything. He wants everything, which is not bad at all. Doesn't take any medications. His weight is where it should be. He has morning erections once in a while. He tries to eat healthy most of the time. He's a 100% meat eater. That's an interesting one. And he just recently started noticing his erection issues. Works out all the time. Has problems falling asleep or staying asleep. It's not really stress, and his eating patterns sort of all over the place. And doesn't drink alcohol. And he also doesn't take good wood. But hey, not everybody's. Yeah. Anyway. Point being that we got into the conversation, so that's the statistics of it. But what does it come down to with him? And it came down to for him, it was he's for a past partner, he's with her. Things seem to be all right, but it's not where it used to be. And whenever he's gotten with a new lady, it was always that problem. So now we have a couple of issues. I always talk about the 80-20 rule of sexual performance, that 80% is your physicality, that 20% is your mental. So both of those are being affected. Hey, what's up, Patrick? What's good, man? He says, hey, Mr. Bryan, love your show. Hey, appreciate you, man. 57-year-old diabetic, having issues with erection problems. And I never use pills because I'm afraid of the side effects. I understand that. Okay. And let me continue on with this story real quick because I have some things that will fit with you, Patrick. So with this gentleman, as we were talking, he was saying that within the next 17 days, it's going down. We didn't get fully into the relationship, but basically he's getting with someone. Maybe she's coming in out of town, something like that. But he's getting with her for the first time on the 30th, and he doesn't want to be embarrassed. And I got that. So it's like, all right, what can you do if you're in this situation where he's at an age where his erection shouldn't be a problem, and he's working out, he's doing some of the things right, but what is he missing out on? The two things that I keyed on in first with him was, first of all, that your sleep. Your testosterone builds while you sleep. You actually have 4 to 5 erections during your sleep. That fifth erection is typically what's known as a morning erection. So there's a whole process that goes through when you're uh, that your body needs to go through while you're asleep. And if you don't have good sleep, then it affects everything else. It's like you could have a perfect day of working out, eating right, being unstressed, et cetera, et cetera. You get 4 hours of sleep, it's not good. Um, in terms of what your body needs in order to produce that testosterone so you can get that erection. Uh-huh. Hey, John, I will talk about that. He asked, how do we become a client? I will talk to you about that in a second. Hello from Dubai, St. Jonathan Chadi. Hope I'm saying that right. I'm sure I messed that up. But anyway, sorry about that, sir. But the point being is that um, if you don't get that sleep, if you don't follow a good pattern of sleep, that's going to affect you. So if you're trying to get all your stuff together in 17 days, sleep is a must. It's unquestionable. I'm talking about the weekends, weekdays. Skip your Netflix. Skip that text message. Go to sleep if you're trying to be ready. The next thing is his meat consumption. Because he says he's at 100%. I always tell people I'm not a chicken hugger. I'm not against guys, eating meat. But what I always say is like a person with lung cancer, you tell them to stop smoking. I mean, cause and effect. If you have issues with your erections, then you need to cut back on your meat. What happens when you consume meat is it actually, it's a lot of different things happen, but one of the things it does is it thickens your blood. Also, overnight while you're sleeping, you're not going to get the number of erections that you're supposed to get. They're actually going to be shorter duration, and it's actually less blood flow. So that whole system that your body goes through overnight gets slowed down if you're consuming a high level of meat. And mind you, before the 1960s, no one was able to eat meat at the level that we do. This is insane. We're able to eat meat constantly, and I've done it and I paid for it. So if you have a problem with your erections and you're eating meat constantly, look to scale back on that. I always say, pick a meal that you can take that away from, and boom, you're going to be good. And also, if you're you can eat a salad or something before you're eating a meal. That just helps out with the process. Uh-huh. So, those are the two main things to key in on. But I did want to go into this before I start answering some of your questions here. And if you're just joining us, go ahead and go to the comment section. Let me know where you are from, and also what your question is. This is Goodwood University Office Hours. My name is Brian, aka Uncle B. And so let me just say this last part right here before we get into it. When it comes to sexual health, when it comes to having erections or demand, morning erections, spontaneous erections, all of that good stuff, we are now in a situation where it's not good for us. We're talking about we're inside most of the time. We are not getting the sleep that we should. Our diet is mainly non-energy, which is a big problem. When we talk about processed food, you're basically talking about dry food. When you're talking about food with energy, it typically has oxygen, typically has water in it. We're talking about plants, roots, things like that. It has that energy that we're getting from the sun stored in plants. We consume that. If you want an erection requires energy. If you don't have the energy, there you go. So it's really important to pay attention to that. So also, we talked about his stress levels. This is always an interesting one for me because I'll talk to guys and they'll say, I'm not stressed, but their sleep is horrible. It's like, well, yeah, we tend to compartmentalize our stress so we don't really get into it deep, in terms of like, instead of thinking like everything at the same time, we just say, well, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. I'm still breathing, so I'm not stressed. It's like, nah, typically you have something sitting in the back of your mind. So it's always good to pay attention to that and not just think that, I'm just going through, I'm not stressed. John Bro asks, I've had ED for the last 2 years. Is it too late? Well, I don't know your age, but I would typically say no. As long as you're still breathing, you can get better. I've had guys who were on steroids in their youth and hadn't had erections for 20 years, and they get their erections back. So, I mean, it can be extremely difficult. Sometimes I often say, especially as we get older, it's like running uphill. Um, with ice skates on. It's uphill, icy mountain going uphill, all that good stuff. It's difficult. It's because you need to be consistent. So it's really not difficult for your body. It's more difficult for your mind. That's where a lot of times we get lost with things because we think that, okay, I tried this and it didn't work, and I tried this and it didn't work. Well, how long did you try it for? Often I talk about different herbs and supplements that you should take. And when we're talking about something like black maca, I got that over there. I love black maca. Um, it takes 3 to 4 weeks before it kicks in. So you need to be taking it as recommended 3 to 4 weeks before it kicks in. That's just the way this works. So it's a matter of being consistent. That's the reason why we have Goodwood University. That's the reason why we had the Goodwood Challenge. And that challenge is really like every day you're figuring out the best pattern, the best routine for yourself, and you're improving, you're improving, you're improving. And also at the same time, um, you're able to get uh, uh, um, more information as you're improving. So it's a never ending cycle. I mean, for myself, about a good 7 years ago, on a sexual performance scale, I was about a 5, which means I was completely unreliable. Things weren't happening at all. not not at all. Things weren't happening the way I wanted them to. And it took a journey. Unfortunately, I was taking the journey by myself. That's the reason why we go you Wood University. So you don't have to take the journey by yourself. You don't have to sit there and try to figure, read and look at all the things that I've had to do, research paper, all that stuff. I just wanted to have this here for you. But back to it, when it comes down to it, you need to be paying attention and consistent with it. This needs to be the focus of your life. I mean, the meaning of life is really you learning how to live it. And being able to control yourself. And so when you're able to control yourself, control your eating, control your sleeping, all these good things on a consistent basis, your body will repair. It it's designed to repair, but it's designed to repair in a specific way, based off of nature, not based off of, oh, here's the latest pill. I'm just going to take this pill, lay down on the sofa, and drink this 40, and let's see if I get an erection. Like, nah, it doesn't work like that. So, okay, so let me hop into these questions. Once again, welcome. Thanks for joining us at the Goodwood University office hours. My name is Brian, aka Uncle B, and this is what we do. We answer questions about sexual health so that you can get to the best possible version of you. All right. So, Patrick, it was okay. 57-year-old diabetic having issues with erection problems. I've never used pills because I'm afraid of the side effects. And well, you should be. I am not a doctor. I'm not a pharmacist. I'm not telling you what to do with your medication because I'm also not a lawyer and I can't afford a lawsuit. So I'm not going to go there. But what I am going to say is I'm a coach. So what I do is take the information and give you the best possible information I can come up with, but it's always going to be based off of natural principles. It's not going to be like here's the one thing you need to do. It's never one thing. It's always a bunch of things, and your body's different from everybody else's body. So it's a partnership where you need to learn. Well, no, it's not a partnership. You're in charge. But I'm just here to help coach you. And one of those things to understand is that when you're taking medication, a lot of times the medication is designed to do what it's supposed to do. It's not designed to be holistic. So what they typically do is say, okay, they first of all, a lot of times with people with diabetes, they'll make them believe that you can't get rid of the diabetes when you can't. Uh, Diabetes is reversible and it's not like something insane that you have to do. Basically going back to nature's principles. When it comes to diabetes, one of the main issues is the high level of meat consumption. If you look out throughout history, diabetes used to be the disease of the rich because they were the only ones who could afford meat. And now it's the disease of 10-year-olds because it's meat everywhere. And once again, cut back on the meat. You still have to pay attention to your sugars, all those other things. Once again, it's still holistic, but um, that's one of the things they don't tell you. Also, Dr. Jason Fung also talks about fasting to get rid of diabetes very quickly. So that's a great idea. Let me see. And Patrick, thank you for that question, that inspiration for that answer. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, and one other thing. The vast majority of men who have type 2 diabetes also have low testosterone levels. So you really need to focus in on that, not by buying testosterone, but by helping your body generate its own testosterone. Uh-huh. All right, cool. Good deal, good deal. John Bro, let me see. Uh-huh. What's going on, Winston? Um, mhm, mhm. All right, John Bro says 34 and have diabetes, 7 years. Woo. Yeah. Uh-huh. Thanks for Thank you for explaining these issues to us so that those that are seeking help. Yeah. When it comes down to it with the diabetes, it's a serious obviously it's a serious issue, but it's a reversible issue, like I said before. And definitely what I'll make sure I do is I should have had it already in here, is make sure I give the link for Goodwood University so you can sign up. I'll make sure I have that there in a second. Also, if you want to, I'm remiss if I don't say this. We do have Goodwood Advanced. Um, Goodwood Advanced is actually made for older men, but I'm very interested to see what it would do for men with type 2 diabetes. And the reason for that is because, um, what Goodwood Advanced does. For those who don't know, Goodwood is an all natural liquid supplement that helps increase testosterone and blood flow. We've been selling this formula for the past 23 years. We've just added in Goodwood Advanced. Goodwood Advanced is the same formula, except we added stinging nettle to it. And what nettle has been done with studies shown through NIH is that it actually stops your testosterone from converting to estrogen, and also stops it from combining with other hormones, so that's not free testosterone throughout your body that your body needs in order to function correctly, get the erections that you need, et cetera, et cetera. So very interested to see how that would work with guys with diabetes. But for right now, I would say, and as I always say, it's a supplement. It's supposed to supplement the other things you do. That's what university is for, is to show you what those other things that you need to do. Okay. Uh, Thanks for that input, John, bro. Uh-huh. And Winston. Winston Evans. Hello, I have a question. I am having trouble lasting long in bed. Uh-huh. Yeah. I would obviously recommend Goodwood for that too, because it increases that testosterone, which actually increases the stamina. But the other thing that you have to work, a couple of things to think about. First of all, you're excited. Um, she does it for you. So that's a great thing. The other piece to consider also is it's sort of the inverse. I've seen this work, but a lot of times people um a lot of times guys don't have enough foreplay, and when you have foreplay, we have to think about the way that we live right now. If we lived in communal societies like we did, that our bodies are programmed for, where you're around other humans, you're touching other humans all the time, just hugs, nothing sexual, but just you're around other humans, you're touching other humans. We are deprived of touch, especially as men. And a lot of times, by the time we're getting with our woman, that's the only time we're touching them. That's the only time we're touching another human being, period. But now you're touching them, and it's like, well, okay, we need that touch in order for our bodies to function properly. They've done show studies where they took a rhesus monkey, a little small monkey, and they, right after birth, left it by itself. They stopped after 2 weeks because it went insane. It was started biting itself. If you take people who are in um, senior citizens homes, senior homes, if they don't get enough touch, they actually die faster. So we require touch in order for us to function properly. And what ends up happening is when we don't have that touch, um, our bodies just start shutting down. And so if the only time you're touching a woman is right before you're having sex, that's the issue. Hmm. Okay. So I'm Judah said that is interesting. Which part? Which part, man? Okay. But yeah. Also, yeah. You in terms of lasting longer, like I mentioned before, that's a testosterone issue. Also, in terms of stamina, it may not be. I mean, a lot of times, premature. Uh, uh, um, not lasting long, whether that's premature ejaculation or even just losing your erection. No, when it comes to premature ejaculation, it could be simply that you're just really excited. And that's not a function of testosterone. You're just really excited. So, there's we talk about some breathing techniques. There are a few techniques that you can use. But really it's just calming down. It really just comes down to that. And that's what the breathing techniques would do. Okay. All right. Yeah. So for anyone who's just joining us, thank you for coming through and welcome to Goodwood University office hours. Goodwood University is where we gather all the information for men's sexual health. You know, we call it the school of masculinity around here. And that's because that's what we do. We want to make sure that men are have a secure space to have these conversations about the things that are affecting them. So, um, so yeah, as I started off this particular session with talking about the gentleman who was 29, wanted to get his erections together in 17 days. This applies to everybody. I mean, he has a timeline, so he may be a little bit more focused, but it applies to everybody in terms of what you need to do for your sexual health, and that's focus in on everything. The good wood too. Yeah. Good, 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 good. Then you need to focus in on everything. You know, for me, as I mentioned before, a good 7 years ago, I was at a 5 out of 10 on the sexual performance scale. I was eating a pizza, uh, eating a pizza, eating late. There was a shopping mall down the street that just had, you know, the gas station food, the McDonald's, the other fast food places that were open. Taco Bell was open late. So, oh man, it was bad. It was bad, and it wasn't until I really hit rock bottom. It was like, oh, how do I turn this around? And unfortunately, I didn't have the resources just there. I knew a lot about um, sexual performance because that's what I talked about a lot. I didn't talk about sexual health early on when I was was talking through African Fly and Now Good Wood, because I didn't have sexual health issues myself. I was just concerned about the performance. Then it became like, oh, you can actually stop having an erection. That can happen. Yeah, that can happen if you don't take care of your body. And so, the research really shows that 40% of men over 40 have erection issues, 50% of men over 50, 60% of men over 60, 70% of men over 70, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it sort of makes sense. You see older gentlemen, you're not like looking at it like, yeah, he's laying them down. A lot of them are not. And you have the choice. You can choose to focus in, get your body taken care of, or not. And I've not ever met a guy or talked to a guy who's like, hey, are you good with not having an erection? It's like, man, nobody's good with it. It's like you may just have to accept it, but not being good with it. hmm Joe, what's going on, bruh? I believe it has caused me ED. Could that be, or is it something else? Did I miss you? Oh, okay. Ah, are you allowed to talk about metformin? No, not allowed to talk about. I'm not going to talk about any specific drug, just because that requires needing to know a lot about you, your blood workup, et cetera, et cetera. So, but what I will say is that it's the internet. You're on it. Go ahead and just do your research. And I'm an advocate of not being on anything. I mean, obviously, once again, not being a doctor, I'm not. I'm saying that it, the different drugs, like can metformin cause you to have ED? Yeah, yes. That I will say. That I will say, because I know it wasn't necessarily metformin, but it was another drug. A gentleman was taking, a client of mine. He um, just needed to, it was, I forgot what the medication was, but he went from having some issues with his erections to having ED. Um, Scale of 1 to 10, he says he's a 0. So, yeah, that can happen. So, and really, it's a question of, hey, what can I do on a natural level? Because there's so many guys who end up going back to the doctor and say, okay, I need to get off this drug now. I need to do this. I need to do, because, and this is being honest about the hospital industrial complex. They have dueling issues. You have people who really get into the doctors, urologists, people who really get into that profession to help people, but the mechanism, the hospitals themselves, they're there for the money. So they don't have enough time to sit down and tell you, like, hey, you know what? You need to go to sleep. Well, hey, you know what? They don't have time for the coaching. They have the best they can possibly do, and they're put into that situation. The best they can possibly do is say, here, take this drug, because what else, the things that they're telling most guys to do, it's like, yeah, yeah, you need to drink more water. The guy comes back, "Oh, yeah," or they would just drink the water by itself, and that was it. It's like, yeah, I just started drinking water. Yeah, hell no. Did you stop drinking the alcohol? Oh, oh, well, you didn't say that. So, it's really up upon you. Um, and also, Joe, uh, once again, I don't know your background and everything like that. That's one of the reasons why we have the quiz. I'm not sure if you were on when I went over it earlier, but you know, doing the men's performance quiz, we asked the questions, going from your age to the number of medicines, how's your sleep, how's your eating, what's your eating pattern, some basic questions like that, so we get a base level of where you're at. And just with that information, we're able to give some recommendations in terms of things you can do with your lifestyle. And whenever I say lifestyle, I'm talking about patterns. When people say, "Hey, you need to change your pattern, change your lifestyle," that's whatever. It's whatever you a lifestyle is. A person who I, I like the color blue now. So I live a blue life. I have blue everywhere. That's a lifestyle choice, but it has nothing to do with your health. So when we're talking about your health, the lifestyle change is actually a pattern change. So what we look for in that quiz is like, what is your pattern? What are the things that you do every day? And how can we adjust those? So, for myself, the changes that I went through in terms of the things that I do now, I mean, my sleep game is on lock. I mean, even though I still have issues, just taking my ass to sleep. I mean, still normal, still human, but at the very least, when you know what the issue is, you can focus in on and take care of it. Some of the other things I never did 7 years ago, like I walk like 5 miles. I'm doing push-ups all the time, doing pull-ups, all these different things to get healthier. Those are the things that make the most sense, and so that things will start working for you, not just taking a pill, taking a supplement, doing this one thing, eating this one thing. I've heard all of those things. I've seen guys. This one guy got into that. What was it? The chicken and broccoli. I think he was trying to lose weight, and he said, "Yeah, just eat chicken and broccoli like the movie stars do." I'm not sure who came up with that combination, but I can guarantee you, God did not design you to be able to consume a chicken a day. that's that's not the way this works. I mean, and the people you see the people that have the results, and that's because they're doing the most. They're doing, they're running it, they have a multi-million-dollar movie that I'd be inspired. I'd eat whatever I need to eat, but that's not necessarily healthy for you. And it's also, especially, some people they'll do all the workouts or eat a diet like that, and then they'll stop. And he was doing my man was doing that broccoli and chicken, and it just caused him more problems. So you have to be careful with doing things in excess. It's all about getting that right line together. So, but yeah, that is what I have. Anybody else on here have any questions? Let me go ahead and find the link real quick to drop in there for you to get into Goodwood University. Right now, Goodwood University is free. We're just starting out. And let me just explain a couple of things about it. One is that it is all about you. It's all about engagement. It's not about you know just giving out information and you just absorb the information and be about your day. That's not helpful. So, uh, the link is in the chat. Um, but yeah, it's all about it's all about participation. So what happened with me, the reason why it took me 7 years to get from a 5 to I'm sitting at a 9, and I'm aggressively trying to get to a 10, um, is that you need other people. It wasn't until I was working with a partner of mine, and I came up with the system, the ECS 25 system, where you score yourself every day, and we started talking back and forth about our scores. I mean, if he scores a 25 and I scored a 15, I'm like, oh man. Let me focus back in. When you have other people working with you, you're able to focus back in. It's really not a question, once again, of will sleep help you with your erections? Will eating better? Will being in the sun, will walking, we know all these things work. It's not a question of what will work. It's a question of what you will do on a regular, on consistent, until it's a lifestyle. And once that happens, you're going to be all good. So, So yeah, if you want to join us at Goodwood University, we'll be doing these type of office hours. And in Goodwood University, you can ask me more questions directly. I'll have a background on you. It's just the way that works. We're going to have other people joining us for some talks and other things like that. So unless you guys have any other questions, that is it for today. Also, when you join Goodwood University and I do a live, you can talk to me. So no need to just stay in the chat room. We can have a conversation. So that's always better. So hey, fellas, I appreciate you hopping on. Thank you very much. Once again, this is Brian, aka Uncle B. I will be going live again tomorrow. If you didn't get your questions in, get your questions in for tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, guys, have a great one. Appreciate you all. Peace out.